This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple US imports lots of iPhones from India, news of app stores and those who regulate them, and info from the gaming front. It is Wednesday, the 28th of May, 2025. Wednesday, are you sure? Feels like Tuesday. Says it's Wednesday. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. What do the White House and the People's Republic of China have in common? They're both trying to make made-in-India iPhones tough on Apple. India's iPhone exports to the U.S. soared an estimated 76%, according to a headline from CNBC, which continues, but Trump and Beijing won't make further growth easy. Of course, the CNBC numbers don't come from CNBC. They come from Canalys, which is apparently shifting its name to Omdia. I think Canalys got bought by Omdia, so need to start getting our heads around that. Omdia says shipments of iPhones to the U.S. from India were up 76% last month versus April of 2024. According to the firm, the subcontinent accounted for roughly 3 million U.S. iPhone imports in April. That is huge compared to the 900,000 imported from China. While the CNBC headline lists a couple of factors working against growth for iPhone in India, the article itself lists a third. On the first two, the piece had analysts saying India's ability to expand its iPhone capacity could be curbed by protectionist measures from Washington and Beijing, which both have issues with Apple's reaction against tariffs. Also working against expansion in India, though, are realities on the ground in India. One analyst with Omdia said, India's manufacturing capacity isn't expected to grow fast enough to take the entirety of U.S. demand. Still too early. So there was an interesting idea presented this week in the New York Times, a way to pacify the Trump administration without appeasing it. Apple 3.0 ran part of the idea, which had Andrew Ross Sorkin suggesting a thought experiment. Apple CEO Tim Cook could announce plans to begin assembling some iPhones in the U.S. within 3 years and lay out a detailed roadmap to make more of them, or their successor devices, over the next decade. That would give Trump a tangible win. Apple devices would effectively say, assembled in the USA. The idea seems to be this. Apple puts together a small enough number of iPhones in the States, say at the same Texas plant where Mac Pros are assembled, that it can absorb the higher price. They just have to make sure it is a large enough number that they can say they did it. On board with the idea is Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives, though he thinks the U.S. government needs to play a role to make this Herculean strategic move a reality. Presumably that's the Herculean strategic move where Apple builds an appreciable number of iPhones in the U.S., not just a token number. The way the New York Times piece puts it, Apple could announce a public-private partnership to invest in skilled workers in the U.S., starting at the Texas plant, to train the workforce needed to make the iPhones of the future. It's an interesting idea. At the same time, it sounds a bit like the $500 billion in U.S. investments over the next 4 years already pledged by the Cupertino company. Then again, that doesn't say $500 billion to make iPhones in the U.S., which seems to be the current fixation of the administration. At least where Apple is concerned. With WWDC less than 2 weeks away and world governments breathing down Apple's neck, the Cupertino company is singing the praises of the App Store. Apple issued a press release Tuesday that might be seen as instructive to both regulators trying to rein Apple in and developers thinking of jumping ship to third-party app stores and payment solutions. It was full of factoids, like in 2024, Apple stopped over $2 billion in potentially fraudulent transactions. The company blocked nearly 2 million risky app submissions from reaching users, and it terminated nearly 150,000 developer accounts over fraud concerns. Not that it's all about targeting bad guys pretending to be developers. According to the release, Apple also rejected over 711 million customer account creations and deactivated nearly 129 million customer accounts last year, blocking these risky and malicious accounts from carrying out nefarious activity. That includes spamming or manipulating ratings and reviews, charts, and search results that risk compromising the integrity of the App Store. There is a lot more in the press release. You can find it in Apple's online newsroom. While segments of the European Union may find all of that admirable, they're still on Apple about the anti-steering thing. A piece from Apple Insider says the Cupertino company is down to 1 month to comply with EU Digital Markets Act anti-steering provisions, or else fines, everywhere fines. You're welcome. It's kind of lame sounding, actually. On the 23rd of April, the European Commission, the muscly bit of the European Union, fined Apple 500 million euros, roughly $570 million US, for violations of the DMA, giving Apple 60 days to bring their platform into compliance. Then yesterday, over 30 days into those 60 days, they told Apple what they had done wrong exactly. I mean, it's not like Apple didn't know, but still. Basically, the way Apple used to do things, no third-party payment methods, no third-party app stores and stuff like that, that obviously was not going to fly. Apple's remedies, charging 27% for sales made outside of its app store versus the 30% charged inside, overly prescriptive rules for linking out to third-party solutions and stuff like that, also did not fly. So, fix it or pay more fines. Also, the 500 million euro fine is due in a couple of months. Apple has said it will appeal all of it, though the Apple Insider piece says it's unclear whether the company has already filed a formal appeal. From taking control from Apple on one continent to giving Apple more responsibility on another. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Texas Governor Greg Abbott has signed Texas Senate Bill 2420 into law. Called the App Store Accountability Act, the report says it will require Apple and Google to verify the age of all App Store users and obtain parental consent before minors can download most apps or make in-app purchases. The piece says Apple told Bloomberg that it believes there are better proposals that help keep kids safe without requiring millions of people to turn over their personal information. On the flip side, one Texas state senator says the bill puts tools in the hands of parents to make decisions for their own children. Thought that's what parental controls did. No? All right. Similar to a law that passed in Utah earlier this year, the piece says the Texas rule marks a victory for Meta, which has been trying to make sure it wouldn't be responsible for age verification. We actually talked about the Utah proposal and Meta's responsibility avoidance on an episode of The Checklist earlier this year. On that show, we quoted 9 to 5 Mac's Ben Lovejoy as saying, "If you ask me who I trust more to protect sensitive personal information like that, Apple or Meta, it's no contest." Agreed. Though again, isn't that what parental controls are for? Oh, wait, I forgot. Having the state make Apple do it puts tools in the hands of parents. Google and Apple have until the 1st of January 2026 to get the age verification thing going, or, blocking court maybe. Whichever. Something some people have apparently been anticipating for a long time has finally hit the App Store. It only took 16 years, according to a piece from Engadget, but there is now an official WhatsApp app for iPad. Okay, the 16 years line is cute, though not 100% accurate. There was no iPad 16 years ago. That's just how old WhatsApp is. But yeah, point taken. Did take quite a while. As for what the iPad app has, more room to run. According to Engadget, Meta seems to have made good use of the extra space. The app takes advantage of the tablet's multitasking features like split view and slide over, so users can view multiple apps at once. Less exciting, and I don't even use WhatsApp that much, but less exciting is an update from Apple. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the Cupertino company has updated its Invites app with the first new features since the app's release. According to Apple's release notes, Apple Invites version 1.2 lets users add a link to link their guests to a gift registry, potluck list, trip planner, and more right within the event. I stand by my less exciting statement. Apple's Tap to Pay on iPhone has gone live in more countries. It is a weird list full of countries that's kind of surprising weren't already on it. Refreshing folks on what it is and does, a piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Tap to Pay on iPhone enables retailers to use their iPhone as a contactless payment terminal with no separate mobile terminal or card reader required. Countries new to the list as of this week include Belgium with 10 platforms supported, Croatia with support for 3 platforms, Cyprus with 5, Denmark with 9, and a 10th imminent, Greece with 3 and a 4th on the way, Iceland with 3 and a 4th on the way, Luxembourg with 7 platforms supported, and Malta with support for 5. Interesting game news and rumor from and around Apple. We'll start on the rumor side, where word has Apple giving Game Center its own app. Well, replacing Game Center with a new gaming-focused app according to Cult of Mac. The report has a piece from Bloomberg saying the new app will feature editorial content from Apple about new titles, offer access to the App Store's games section, and promote Apple Arcade. As for replacing Game Center, sounds like this will bring what it does more to the fore. Like Game Center does now, says the Cult, the upcoming app will show gamers the achievements they've earned in various games, as well as letting them compete on leaderboards. It'll serve as a central collection point for these, spanning across titles and users' different devices. The piece says the new software is expected to be part of the next big round of OS updates to be announced at WWDC. It's unclear from the piece, though, whether that is Bloomberg's assertion or Cult of Mac's expectation. And finally today, Apple has made a decidedly small, game-centered acquisition. The site Digital Trends says the Cupertino company has purchased Rack 7, developers behind the Apple Arcade exclusive Sneaky Sasquatch. This is the first time that Apple has acquired a video game studio in its history, according to the piece, and they are starting small. Rack 7 is a 2-person studio, but Sneaky Sasquatch has performed well for Apple Arcade, and it's going to keep on doing that. An Apple spokesperson tells Digital Trends, "We love Sneaky Sasquatch and are excited that the 2-person Rack 7 team has joined Apple to continue their work on it with us." Goes without saying, but I will say it anyway. Terms of the acquisition were not disclosed. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macosken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.